what are your main tasks as a principal at COTECC? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can just speak to me.
Yeah, my main task as a principal of COTECC is to manage the day-to-day activities of COTECC, to make sure that the school is running well. Students, teachers, and parents.
All right. What do you like most in your job?
What I like most in my job is to bring up those who are weak to be strong, those who are indisciplined to be disciplined. Truly, I really want those who are in the bad situation to be in a good situation. That's what I like most.
All right. So, can you tell us something about COTECC? Just some short facts.
COTECC was created in 1983, and we are 32 years old today. And COTECC is a technical college. We have various departments of COTECC. We have the motor mechanic, the building, the carpentry, the woodwork, telecom, and computer studies, food and nutrition, secretaryship, accountants. We train all of them here with sheet metal. That is the main orientation of COTECC. Children come here from the ages of 10 up to about 20. We have 2 cycles here, the first cycle for 5 years and the second cycle for 2 years. Then we have 2 systems of children in the school here. The ones who stay on campus, called boarding students. They have their 3 meals in school and they stay in the dormitory. They pay higher. And we have the day students who only come for their studies. They stay at home and come for their studies. And they pay less fees. So these are the 2 systems. Then we have boys and girls. This is the main system of COTECC. And there are other various activities out of normal learning we have in COTECC. Like we have sporting activities. We have some cultural activities to brace the children with their environment. So this is a summary of COTECC.
All right, thank you. What does make COTECC special compared to other schools?
COTECC is different in that we train the students on how to create jobs, not how to depend on others to create jobs for them. So we teach them on the job. When they leave COTECC, they fit in their job markets without any other orientation.
All right, great. Are there some problems you have to manage as a principal? What are the main problems?
Yeah, we have a series of problems myself that I have to manage, and you know, indiscipline is one of the problems. You must have to put children right to be in class, to study, to put on the right wear, to be where they are supposed to be at the right time. We also have to manage them to be hygienic, to keep their environment clean. We also have to manage them to pay their fees at the right time, so that the fees can be used to run the school. And as well as the staff too, there are also cases of not being there when they are supposed to be. So you have to follow the teachers too. They have to prepare their lessons to teach, and they have to be in class at the right time, and they have to do the right things too at the right time, like the students to do it. So we have a lot of problems to manage. And at the level of the parents too, we have to manage the parents too, to know when to visit their children. We know to manage them to give the right things to their children, not coming to school with mobile phones, but rather give them their textbooks to read. So there are a lot of problems we have to solve on day-to-day basis to make sure that the school has the credibility we want.
All right. You spoke about students don't pay the school fees. What happens with a student who doesn't pay?
A child who fails to pay the fees is dismissed from the school. We send the child out until the child pays the fee. Because you cannot school, the school is not free. So you cannot school without paying the fees.
Okay. So sometimes maybe parents can't pay the fee. can you help them in a way, or they want just?
We have witnessed some parents who start paying fees at the beginning and midway they cannot continue. Some of the parents die along the line and the children are helpless. At first we used to have the Castle Scholarship for Poor and Needy, which was coming from Germany. But finally the scholarship went off. And these children, they have no other hope again. Once you lost control of your finance, you are off the school. So there is nothing we can do until one day we will now have another donor who can be helping those children who lost their parents, or those children whose parents lost their job, or something happened to the parents and they cannot pay fees. But for now, we have no other option. The children have to leave the school.
All right. We heard about that in Cameroon, school is very important for parents, for children, for everyone. Why do you think is it like that?
Now there is a crusade, or there's a campaign going on that every child must be educated. You know, times are changing. It's not like at first when a parent will marry 3 wives to produce many children so as to work on his farm. Those days have gone. Today is working with the brain. So every child must go to the school. If you don't go to school, you are misfit in society. You cannot do anything. Things are changing. It is survival of the fittest, and the fittest can only survive through education. So education in Cameroon is very, very important. We want that at least by the year 2035, as the president has said, there should be nobody who cannot read and write. You know, if you cannot read and write, how do you operate your own mobile phone, which is the main tool now for communication? You cannot operate it. If you cannot read and write, how can you operate your own computer to send emails, to communicate with the outside world? So it's important for everybody to be educated.
Do you have an idea why countries in other African countries is not that important?
If it is not important, then they have not yet realized the importance. But in the shortest time possible, they will realize the importance. Because now the whole world is a global world now. At first, it used to be Cameroon as Cameroon, Nigeria as Nigeria, Chad as Chad. But now, it is a global world. You cannot distinguish who comes from Nigeria, who comes from Cameroon. You have information from all the countries at any time you want the information. So it's necessary to be educated. And when you allow your child without educating your child, that child will blame you tomorrow because the child cannot communicate to the outside world. And they will see that you as a parent, you failed in your duty as a parent. So no parents will want to be blamed by his children tomorrow.
Great. Can you explain us a little bit about the Cameroonian school system? How does it work?
We have 2 systems of education in Cameroon, the technical and the general. The technical are those who do the technical subjects with practical lessons. Then the general are those who do mostly those subjects without their practicals. Those of technical education, they have orientations, as I first mentioned: building, construction, electricity, motor mechanics, telecommunication, woodworks, food and nutrition, accountancy, and all the other subjects. Then the general subjects are those who do history, geography, physics, economics, and all the other subjects. But they all agree in mathematics, English, and French as a general subject.
All right.
Yes, all of them agree in those subjects. Then now they can separate in the other subjects. At the end of 5 years, all of them come in for a general certificate of education, which is called the GCE exams at ordinary level. Then they go in again for the next 2 years to write the advanced level. After the advanced level, they move to the university. That's the system of education. Then we also have the CAP, which moves up to Propatoire and Baccalaureate, which is the French system of education introduced to the English-speaking side of education.
Okay, thank you. Are there any disadvantages in this school system? Is there something you would like to change, maybe?
For now, not to really change, but to perfect. not to change, but to perfect in those areas. To perfect in the sense that when we want to talk about technical education, let it have the meaning of technical education. A child should be well trained as a technical student, who should come out practically well formed, theoretically well formed, so that this child, instead of being constructive, should not be destructive to the society. You know, an electrician who is not well trained practically can wire a house wrongly and it becomes a bomb, a point of danger to people. A bricklayer who is not well formed in his practical lessons can build a house that will collapse with people tomorrow. So you see, we should have a system where practical lessons are well formed and the schools well equipped to carry out practical lessons. That is what I would think should be done in all technical schools in Cameroon. For example, COTECC has this type of facilities, and the training here is up to a certain standard that we are looking for ways to improve on it, to move again higher than what we are doing.
What are the advantages of this system?
The advantages of this system of education is that tomorrow the economy will turn around Cameroon. Not only employing or bringing people from outside to do certain jobs in Cameroon. You see, most of our big construction in Cameroon are done by foreigners. They come here and employ Cameroonians as laborers. Is it not time that Cameroonians too should train those big engineers to carry on those projects? And the economy will turn around Cameroon. So we should start from the base, training powerful technicians. And these powerful technicians will go up to be powerful engineers. That's what we are fighting for. That's what we are after. That is what will make Cameroon Cameroon. Cameroon is not yet Cameroon because Cameroon is in partnership with others to be able to carry out their own projects.
They would need to be just ourselves.
Yes.
Just do it without any help from Europe or from China.
Yeah, even you need help, the help should be minimal, not maximum help. Exactly. There are certain big construction in Switzerland that you will not go and ask a German to come and do it. It will be as if the Swiss people have no technicians, right? They will say, no, for this job to be done by a German, it must be a Swiss, to show the dignity and the authority Swiss has over Germany. That is how Cameroon too should move. Not always being with a spoon or with a plate to beg.
Great. Back to COTECC. What are the future plans from COTECC? Or what, do you have future plans for COTECC?
Yeah, as I earlier said, COTECC wants to move from better to best. We want to move higher. We want that tomorrow, when you come here for a visit, you should see COTECC in a different light. Infrastructures change, mentality change, engineers change, the students change. Everything will be a different place that you yourself you will appreciate. And why not have some exchange visit that our children can, if they come to Europe and sit in a class, they should not feel inferior. They should feel at the same level with children in Europe. That is what we want in the future.
With people study here in COTECC, why do they come here?
Some
from I don't know, from
foreigners.
Foreigners, yeah.
Foreigners. Yeah. We have had Nigerians have studied in this school. Equatorial Guineans are still in this school, and other countries, many countries, they have been in this school. Why? They like the school. They like the system of the school. They like the equipment of the school. They have been successful, so they tell their friends to come to this school to be successful.
So when they go back to their country, they will be like well educated.
Well educated, better than others, and they will inform their friends to come to COTECC to be trained, and that is what we have. If not because of the borders that were closed, we should have had more than 20 students from Equatorial Guinea. But we have about 15 of them now in COTECC studying here.
Okay, so now imagine that Africa would be a child. What kind of development would be needed to grow and become like to become an adult?
The only way Africa can grow from childhood to adult is when they embrace professional education, technical education, they will get whole, they will grow, they will be matured in future. When you keep depending, you will never be matured. So we expect that Africa should produce their own engineers. Then they will be matured in future. Else they will be babies. And you know what happens to a baby? The baby is at the mercy of the person taking care of that baby. So you dictate. So we want that Africa too should grow. Africa should be matured, have their own doctors, have their own research centers where it can be researched. We had a major crisis in Africa, Ebola. Africa should be able to research on Ebola to find out. You know, it's easier for Africa to research on an epidemic in Africa than to take samples to Europe to be research on it. Locally, it will be easier. So Africa should grow. Africa should change their mentality, professionalize their education, and come out with their own engineers, researchers, and all the necessary technicians.
Education is one thing. Is there other things like corruption or help from Europe, or what else?
And before you ever settle down to produce good technicians and good engineers, the country or Africa must be free of corruption. Because when we talk about corruption, we are talking about putting the wrong people in the wrong place. Instead of these people to be there by merit, corruption makes that a different person to be in that position. So Africa will never grow. Corruption is an obstacle to development. Corruption is an obstacle to realities. We must first of all eradicate corruption. When corruption goes up, the right people will be trained. Then another ill in Africa is bad governance. Bad governance slows down development. Bad governance scares people. Bad governance makes people go abroad instead of staying and developing their own areas. Bad governance makes people afraid. So good governance, corruption, free country develops.
So what can we do against this corruption and against this government? Is there a way to get rid of that?
The first I will prescribe, we start educating the youths to grow up with a different spirit. The old people have grown in that spirit. To get them out of it is a problem. Let them die out with it. Meanwhile, the young people, their mentality should be changed at the level of the youth. There is a saying that a bended tree cannot be straightened. If you want to put it straight, it will break. That is how corruption has eaten into the old people. If you want to force corruption out of them now, you are wasting your time. So it is a generation that we start building up a new generation from somewhere. And this generation will come out for the love of their fatherland, love of one another, love of the Africa, and they will embrace the economy in a different way. And the mentality, it will be the mentality of growth for all, not growth for individuals. Because that is the system of corruption. Individuals grow, nations remain stagnant.
Where does corruption start? Is it already in school age, or is it
corruption in school? The corruption may have gone down as far as even below school age. But if you can cut a certain age around school age and start educating, I think it can change. Because children now who are barely walking, when you ask them to give you something, to give you assistance, they first of all look at what you will give them in turn, which is still part of the corruption. A child should be able to do something to A or B without any favor, without anything in return.
So you're kind of doing the first step against corruption is happening here in schools.
The first step against corruption, be in schools. We educate our children to be corrupt-free. If they are corrupt-free, good and fine. Then the society will be corrupt-free. Then you will have good governance. You have better people tomorrow.
Okay, great. So I think that was the last question. Can you tell just short who you are, How old are you? How many children you have? Where do you live? Just short about you.
Yes, I'm called Tamnjong Paul. I am 52 years old. I am a builder by profession. I left a technical school. I am married. I have 5 children. I come from Kambe in Donga Mountain Division of the Northwest region. I have worked in this school now for 28 years. 22 years as principal of the school. And it has been a wonderful challenge. There were good moments, there were bad moments, but in the average, I am happy. I have done what I was supposed to do.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was brilliant, really.
Yes, it was great.
Thank you.
Great answer.
Very good speech, yeah.